Welcome to Wizard Team, a Black magical podcast for Black magical stories.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana, Robyn, and Porshèa embarking on a journey through the many fantasy stories written by and about Black people. Currently, we're reading Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, and today we are discussing chapter 17.
First off, happy Black Magical History Month. It's still February. We're still out here. Last week, things that we discussed. Well, first of all, we're like officially halfway through the book, so that's cool.
What?
We're on the other side. But yeah, so Amari is like debriefed after her conversation with Moreau. And the adults don't really seem to be taking any of what he said seriously, or if they are not telling Amari. Amari then goes and learns how to use sky sprints in her like agent trainee class, which she ends up being pretty good at, even though like there's some clear like class differences between like the kinds of sky sprints folks have. We find out that Lara is basically being a bully because she blames Quentin and therefore Amari for Maria's disappearance. Somehow that makes sense in her head.
Therapy, I bet.
Anyway, Amari, because of that and like the way that kind of like, because Lara's so popular and she has all these like friends who follow after her, it kind of serves to then make Amari feel lonely and isolated, which is when Magician Girl 18 pops in and is like, they will never understand you, but I will. We should meet up, you know? Let's build.
Does Lara have friends, or does she have sycophants?
Yes.
Followers?
Yes. She might have like one friend up in there, but I don't know.
She don't want no friends. She doesn't want friends.
Mm.
She doesn't even want a sister. She doesn't want her sister back. She just wants someone who will praise her for her achievements in the form of sisterhood.
But yeah, all of that serves to push Amari into agreeing to meet up with this catfish in person. Not that we know that Magician Girl's a catfish, but like we don't know about this girl. She ain't got no profile.
This is very much out of like early thousands movies where like they are showing us the dangers of like talking to strangers online.
Literally, I feel like
it was, like what it was today.
I feel like it's the pilot episode of Degrassi: The Next Generation.
Right.
So yeah, so now we're in chapter 17. So Amari's waiting on like information on like when and where she's gonna meet Magician Girl. But when she wakes up, her app, what is it, like ERG? I don't know how they so they shorten it. It needs to be updated, which like I just feel like is such a like y'all got magic and you still gotta get like app updates. Like I hate that for y'all. And of course, because she doesn't know how to do anything, she just learned the other net existed like 2 days ago. She needs to now find Elsie in order to update her phone so that she can figure out. She also just got a phone, I just realized. So there's a lot of different things she's gotta like figure out. So she gotta take it to Elsie.
Can I just say that if you guys are just now joining us in chapter 17, where you've been, but also I love them. I love them so much. And so yesterday I had a brunch with my group of San Diego girlfriends who I know because of my best friend Fiorella, who got all the way down to she lives like 30 minutes away. Got all the way down to where the brunch spot was. She made me come early so I could like grab seats because I am her like, personal assistant, whatever. And then she forgot her purse and was like, uh-oh. And so I had to give her my card so she could pay for her parking, and then I paid for brunch. The beauties of technology. She Venmoed me back. We good. But I just like love the idea of she just literally like sat down. She made me come early. She was like, you have to go 30 minutes early and grab the table just to make sure. And then she sat down and she looked at me and she said, I forgot my purse. and I just handed my card over. And I just think that, like, best friendship is like that. She just, Amari just was like, I can't update this thing. Where is Elsie?
Mm-hmm. And then go searching for her because Elsie is not in the room.
She ain't say, I should figure it out myself. She didn't look around her phone and be like, I'm sure this is intuitive. It's a social media. I'm sure there's an up. No, she said, where is Elsie?
But she, again, like, but Bayana was saying, like, she is new to the whole having a phone situation. So she's like, this world of having a phone and updates, what is that?
But she is also still, like, Generation Z.
That's true.
Zillennial, Z, whatever. They be
but whose phone is she getting? Because her
buttons.
mama doesn't seem like she's playing that game, and then her brother, like, clearly has secret crap going on his phone, so he was going to hand his phone over. So who's
right? She was checking his emails, not his text messages,
and she was checking on his old laptop, not even like on like an actual like tablet or something that's even closer to a phone.
Okay, your points are being made. Okay,
but your point does stand. Like the fact that she's immediately like, I need to find Elsie. Her bed's empty. She's not in the food court for breakfast, and so she finds out that the junior researchers were attending some presentation for some really old, really famous magical scientist who's visiting from the Bureau's London outpost. So she's like, well, I'm skipping breakfast. I'm going to the Department of Magical Science, which means that we get to see the Department of Magical Science.
This department stresses me out.
I like, yes, but also I kind of like it reminds me of like whenever I go into like as museums? A kid. Yes, it reminds me of museum. I also like as a kid I loved science museums, and so now I still do, but it was like I'm not into science now. I don't know what people are talking about. I'm not like into it, but it just like gives me that like childish, like nostalgia of like going into the exploratorium and seeing all these like cool magnets and like the light box and like all, you know what I mean? Like,
so here's my thing. I love going into a museum and I love that little like button you can push and the speaker comes on and it plays a pre-recorded, this is the thing that you're looking at, but it's pre-recorded. It's old school technology. It's basically a voice, just drones all up and in this piece.
Yeah, it is a museum with drones, but it gives museum.
I hate it here.
It gives museum vibes. Like I literally wrote that down. It does give museum vibes, and I like that.
But it gives like the museum of my nightmares. It's like, oh, you like to learn? How about we have AI teach you? And I'm okay. Sorry.
So speaking of AI, Whispers the elevator is who takes Amari down to the Department of Magical Science. And
I will say that I've messed with Whispers. Only on like the sense that his name is Whispers and
I would have beef, because if I was trying to keep anything quiet, Whispers would be my.
That's the last person you want to, or last elevator you want to take.
I'd be like, oh please, any elevator but Whispers in this moment, because I can't keep nothing to myself.
I'm trying to be
if Whispers is here.
He just gives me it just gives me the vibes of like the dude in the neighborhood whose nickname is Tiny, but he is anything but. Yeah, that's why. That's the only thing about Whispers that I rock with, but the rest of it you can keep.
So the elevator door is open to a wall of purplish blue flames. Amari is like, first is confused, but then remembers that the lobby of this department changes to reflect like a current breakthrough in the field, which is kind of cool. It's like, they changed. It's the exhibit. The lobby is the exhibit. They're changing it up. So Amari's like, is it safe to walk through that? Whispers shouts, yes. And so then she walks through, and I love this part. She says, thankfully, I don't turn into Amari flavored barbecue. Which I think she's hilarious. And then on the other side, there's a tiny metal drone that floats over her and says, you just stepped through a wall of night fire. What you may not know is that night fire isn't actually a true fire at all, but rather a convergence of naturally occurring free magic and ultraviolet light energy that combusts harmlessly. Amari,
to me, that sounds like the Aurora Borealis. Like, yeah. I'm like, it sounds like it's just like you're walking through the Aurora, and I would love to do that. I would love to walk through the Aurora Borealis. It sounds like fun.
And I also like the introduction of free magic as like something that just exists.
Yeah, just
Because
like
the way that they've talked about it has been like, it only comes from this place and people are only allowed to have a certain amount of it, you know what I mean? But also the fact that it just like is like a cool
it's like
bit of
different types of
web
energy.
building.
Yeah.
Which, like, that their explanation bothers me for a lot of different reasons, but one of them mostly being that, like, the borough couldn't exist if it weren't for the existence of free magic outside of, like giving and sharing, like, as musicians are supposed to do. Given, like, all the magical creatures and the magical lands that exist, like, how can
Yeah,
you explain that if it's not for free magic? Like, what does that even mean?
right. And it's really, I think it'd be interesting to like learn like how free magic kind of like affects the environment and like how you then are able to create some of these places, you know what I mean? Um
Yeah.
like is it like certain concentrations in certain places that make like, you know, prime spots for underground layers, or is it like something else? But yeah. So Amari though does not find this fascinating at all. And so when the drone is like, "Would you like to hear more about the scientist who discovered Nightfire? He's visiting today." Amari's like, "Nah, I'm good." Um, the drone sighs and floats away. Uh,
Visibly or audibly disappointed. The drone
Okay, but,
the
like, think about it.
drone
But think about it.
size.
It's programmed to, like, be there for curious people, and so every person they probably come into contact with, it's someone that's just supposed to be using their programming to assist in their curiosity, and here comes
A
this person,
sigh is
a
a
young
maybe,
person.
emotional response.
maybe they're programmed to sigh. You know how like when you try to call on the phone and they have a like automated voice or whatever, which is always, I hate it and I just want to talk to a person. But when they try to make the person sound like a person, but you can still
Mhm.
tell it's a robot, like that. Maybe it's like that, where they like programmed her to sigh anytime somebody, or it to sigh
That's
when
not better.
somebody
Or
says
perhaps
no,
it's
they go
someone who's
sigh.
maybe it's someone who's in a booth, maybe it's Wizard of Ozing, and it's someone who's in a booth somewhere, and they're like, "This is my only job. I get to be a drone, like, person, like, throughout the thing, like, ooh, like, I don't wanna be I'm not a social person, so I don't wanna be a curator in person, but I can do it through drone." And they are just, like, actively working through the drone.
I love the hoops you're jumping through to try and make me feel comfortable, but no. They got AI elevators. You know that drone is not some person in a booth.
It could be, though.
It could be.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. It's the
Unless
robots. It's them
unless
robots.
this drone is a magical creature, but I think maybe
It's them robots having an emotional response to a child not wanting to do homework on her off day. I just don't like it.
Well, the rest of the lobby is covered in giant screens that show different experiments taking place at Bureau facilities around the world. Each one has a couple of drones hovering by to answer any questions. Amari finds a bench beneath a live feed of Brazilian researchers studying the growth rates of various grasses. And it's right next to a darkened screen flashing the words "outpost under repair due to recent attack." Um, and so she's like, it's not hard to guess why no one has chosen to sit there. So eventually Elsie comes out. Amari, she like asks Amari what's wrong because was not expecting her. Um, and so she explains like, I need to update the app. I was waiting for an important message. And then Elsie's like, "Oh, really? From who?" And now Amari's like, "Oh shoot, I probably shouldn't have said that." Which is, if you're trying to, because she still hasn't like told Elsie about Magician Girl. Um, And so Elsie's like, "It's cool. I should have set up the app to auto update." So she does that, and then she ends up seeing the message and is like, "Who are you supposed to be meeting?" So again,
Can
cat's
I
out of the
stop
bag.
you? Can
Yeah.
I stop you before we get to this part, because this is like a little bit off topic, but just to go back. Elsie finally comes out, and this is like the most heartbreaking sentence. So she's surrounded by a huge group of junior researcher trainees. And Amari says they smile and laugh as they talk, and she looks so happy. It's the complete opposite of how I feel whenever I'm with the other junior agent trainees.
Mm.
And I just hate that for
Yeah.
Amari, for the agent trainees who are so set in being terrible. And
Mhm.
like, when you think about it, and I think there's something to like the junior researchers being like naturally curious and like
Right.
wanting to like make breakthroughs or whatever. But you would think that Elsie would be having a kind of more similar experience to Amari because they're both kind of outcasts, right? Like, no
Mhm.
one wanted to room with Elsie because she's a were-dragon. And so it wouldn't be out of the ordinary that like she's also being kind of marginalized or not being accepted in this group of junior researchers because she is other.
Right.
Um, and it's just sad because it like it's a direct comparison of like kids
Mhm.
who are like, yeah, you're not like me, but you're, we're all experiencing the same thing and we're just gonna make
Right.
it work.
They're like, "We love the power of
Versus like
science."
you're
Also, Elsie is, like,
yeah.
this genius inventor too, so it's like, I'm sure that also boosts
They're
her,
probably excited to engage with her because of
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
but
ideas.
it could have
It
very
could have
much
gone
been like
yeah, it
them
could have been the
being
opposite.
jealous because she's a genius inventor, right? Like
Mhm.
she kind of has like a leg up in research, and like scientific advancement because her
Mhm.
brain is just constantly inventing stuff. So yeah, it just like, I don't know. It made me sad. And it
Well, I
also
think it
shows to like how much hate is like taught and how much the mob mentality really like affects kids because Laura, like you said earlier, like has sycophants and like people don't really want to go against her and she's been taught to hate magicians and she's acting that out. And so then in the junior agent department, there are the people who either agree with her bigotry or just don't want to stand out and go against her publicly. So they are quiet, which doesn't help, right? And then
Mhm.
the sense of like that not happening to Elsie just kind of shows like how much of that stuff is kind of taught and socialized and not a, a natural given thing.
I think their departments are also the indicators and that like the law enforcement is going to be the place where like is about enforcement of social rules and there the Van Helsing is the director and he is the enforcer of social rules and his daughter has a direct line into his way of thinking, which is enforcing the rule that magicians should be treated poorly because they're awful people. So it all just like is connected in that way. Whereas I feel like from what we've heard of the Department of Magical Science, um, it doesn't seem like that's the case for them. They're not keeping themselves limited by some sort of social limitation in that way. But I also think that I don't know. It's interesting to know what the social order is among the trainees, like in their dorms, like for them to all like go against rooming with Elsie. I wonder how much of that was like during the first week. Laura having that level of like enforcement among her peers, but not necessarily within the departments as the departments break down.
Exactly. It's like because that's what I mean about like that hate and stuff being socialized is because like
Hmm.
as soon as they get some distance from Laura and they don't have her, well, one, Laura is now focused on Amari in the way that she was focused probably on Elsie early on,
Mhm.
but they don't have anyone like holding on to like we should ostracize this girl.
Within the
She's
department.
folded in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people suck,
Pretty much.
children included.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. Um, so so Elsie's like, "Who are you supposed to be meeting?" Amari snatches the phone to look for herself. Magician Girl sent a message that says they should meet at 6 p.m. in room 307 in the Vanderbilt Hotel. Um, Elsie is like, "You can't be thinking of meeting this girl." And so so in this moment, Amari like decides to just come clean, which I think is smart at
Smart.
this point. There's like no like it honestly would have been worse if she had tried not to, especially if Elsie knew. And I also like that she realizes too that she should like somebody should know where she's going. And
But
that
also
she's
Amari is not a good liar, so it's
she's
like,
not a
play
good
up your
liar, but
skills.
yeah, she's not a good liar, which she definitely needs to work on. She's not good at sneaking. And anytime she gets caught, then she's kind of just like, well, that's that. But again, I'm like glad that
Mhm.
in this moment she's like, actually, it's smarter to tell somebody. Like, you know, her mom has taught her about the dangers of the internet, which is good.
It also, like, made me think about how unique this is with, like, 2 girls,
Unique. Sorry.
because
Keep going.
um okay, so sorry, I had to, like, go back and de-renaissance my brain so I could get back
My
to my
bad.
point. This is, like, a thing that girls are kind of socialized to do, um, in all contexts, not just in, like, a magical context, but, like,
Mhm.
I was thinking about this in the terms of, like, it is very smart, but I also wonder if, like, these were 2 boys, or if Amari was a boy, if they would, 1, articulate the thought process behind it's smart to tell someone where I'm at in the way that Amari does it.
Mhm.
Um, if and maybe it would just look or sound different. Um, or if they would even have that impulse, or if, like, boy Amari would be like, "No, I gotta come up with a lie real quick,"
Yeah.
because that sense of danger is different.
Or bravado. Like, if they're I mean,
Yeah.
and it also would be, like, if Amari were a slightly different person. Like, if Amari reacted to fear and danger as, like, someone who's, like, always gotta prove themselves, like, she like, her need to prove herself hasn't, like, gotten to a point where she's like, "I gotta prove myself within my friends as well," like, even to Elsie, like, I don't have like, she's, like, not that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think she's like, as like, I mean, I don't know that I would call her like reckless 100%, but
More reckless than cautious.
yeah. And I think she, you know, she takes the opportunities that come to her when they come, and she's just like, I'm gonna do it. But she also, like you're saying, like she's smart. She's not just like jumping in without thinking about it. Even if it's just to justify jumping in, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's just,
Yeah.
you know, like, even if it's just a justification for herself, like, she's still like doing that work, I
I
guess.
think that's why she held back. That's why she didn't do well or she didn't complete the course for the Sky Sprint, is because she's someone who looks before she leaps,
Hmm.
and the course is created for her to like have to get it through like that like impulse to look before she leaps.
Hmm.
But I do get what you're saying about socialization as women folk, or as like how young women are taught to become women, and the kind of like buddy system. Prepare for worst case scenario because it's not safe out here in the world for you to be by yourself, kind of
Hmm.
thing. Whereas like um boys are kind of taught that they're entitled to the space of being by themselves, and they need to
Mhm.
prepare to like be on their own and be able to
Yeah.
handle themselves on their own. Whereas like we are taught that, but we're taught to go about it in a completely different way than like
Yeah.
a lot of boys are like typically socialized to.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, as women folk, how many times have you had the thought, if I'm gonna do this, someone should know where I am.
I mean, that's the whole point of
If
like having people having your location.
your location
Like,
on, and, like, the
literally,
I'm
like,
Taking a
getting
picture of
car,
the
and this
license
is
plate
the
before you get in the
license
car.
plate.
yeah,
Yep, like,
Mhm.
literally. Like I
it's
remember when like location tracking became like sharing became a thing, and
mhm.
at first I know like a lot of people were just like, oh, this could be bad, like, you know what I mean, for certain reasons, which it could be, but also I mostly just use it to be like, okay, where's this person at? Cool, okay,
Yep.
cool. Like that's it, just to be
And
like,
I
you
only,
safe?
you know what else
All
too? Is
right.
like, I only share, I would never even think of sharing my location with someone that wasn't, like, close family,
Yeah, I'm like my
or,
mom,
like,
my
a
Someone
sister,
a
who's
and I
girl.
maybe
expecting
Robyn
me,
has
like
my
I know you're
location.
expecting
Like,
me or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah,
or,
Like
like,
I'll
like,
give
just a
you.
girlfriend who, or a friend that I trust enough that is like, if, especially when I was living alone, like,
mhm.
if you haven't heard from me, and you know what I mean. At that point, I don't know if the location
literally, anytime my
helps, but
sister
you know
goes
what I mean.
out,
Like,
I'd be like, okay. I just occasionally check my phone. Like, I know she's out, she's doing her thing. I just occasionally check my phone to be like, okay, cool, she's here, great, and also being like, this is where she told me she was gonna be, like, so cool, you know what I mean? Like, or I recognize this place, so this makes sense. It's just like, yeah, you. It's it's a thing that we've been socialized to do.
But I think we're also socialized because we're socialized to look out for danger. I think that, like, as we were naming the people that we probably give that information to, it was also mostly women.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's also because women are like also taught to have like the danger red alert signs. And so if like, oh, if I don't hear from this person by this time, I need to like check up on them because like some red alert, something danger. And it might not be, it must 9 times out of 10, it's not that bad. But like we're taught to have that warning signal.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's also like, I don't know, I don't trust that, like, if, let's say, Bayana's brother checked her little sister's location and she wasn't where she said she was going to be, if he would immediately have like,
Danger.
or if he would like, she just changed her plans, or maybe she, you know what I mean? But like,
sometimes I do.
I feel like if Bayana checked, she might text like, you good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Like, it wouldn't be an immediate like red flag, but it would be like,
let me just
this isn't what we previously discussed, so let's see. Right. So I don't know. It's just it's an interesting thing, especially given that he's a male. This is written by a man. You know, they know the language, so why are they acting like we so weird?
But I think my other thing is that's what I'm saying, like typically associated with women, because I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of cautious people in general, regardless of gender.
Absolutely.
And it just really, it depends on like your level of like how anxious you are, I think. Probably.
Oh yeah,
about, like,
there's
how
definitely like
there's
a what's the word? It's like it's a
intersection.
Thank you. I was sitting here, I'm like, nobody can see this except y'all two, so you have to give me the word. There's an intersection between like anxiety and like, you know, socialization, and then they come together. But they're there. Because I definitely, especially if I'm like, it's getting late and I'm about to go to sleep, I'd be like, like, should I worry or no? Like, okay, cool. Let's keep going. So Amari explains to Elsie that Magician Girl says that she can tell her more about Moreau and about being a magician. And like she's like, I've been so internally, she says she's been so focused on finding her brother that she hasn't given much thought to her magic and how it works, which, you know, is important, especially if she's going to be in this world. She should know how to control that. She like has Elsie promise that she won't tell anyone, and Elsie's like, I don't know, there's probably a reason why Magician Girl is hiding from the bureau. What if she's Moreau's apprentice? What if this is how they get to you? You could be walking into a trap. And so then Amari goes, she told me she wasn't, and I'm not going to assume the worst because she's a magician. I'm one too, and I'm not bad. And so like, it's hard. There's like this like balance, I think, here between like being smart and being compassionate, or like being safe.
I think that this is showing that Amari has not seen enough Stranger Danger episodes.
I'm like, and that's the thing, is like, we were just talking about how she's so like cautious, and then on the other hand, she's still going, right? Like, there's not like, so it's just like,
well, I think it's a matter of it. To me, it's like
it's like wanting to give the benefit of the doubt.
She's so young that she's not like.
No, I don't think her age can be that. Like, again, Stranger Danger episodes. Like, I was young and impressionable. I saw no Stranger Danger episodes, and also I just distrust people. Like, if I don't know you, you're a stranger.
Yeah, but I think there's like a cynicism to that in a way where like I don't, because Amari does like kind of have those inner turmoils of like, I don't think it's fair, like her morals of, especially with how she's been treated. I don't think it's fair to assign negative intention or like reasoning to this person just because they're a magician, because I don't like when people do that to me, right? But there is also, and I think that she's leaning too much on empathy of you're a magician, I'm a magician, and we're not bad just because everyone says we're bad, and not leaning enough on stranger danger, cynicism, and the fact that, like, just because you said you're not Moreau's apprentice
I
doesn't
don't
mean that you
actually
ain't
know you.
lying. I don't know
It's
you.
so easy
Right.
to lie. It's so easy to say,
It's
no,
so
I'm not.
easy. But I think that there's like, I do think that there's like this, and I've fallen into this trap every once in a while too, of this like wanting to believe the best in people, and so you will yourself to quiet down that like stranger danger thing, because you're like, especially if you see some sort of similarity or empathy, like, or you have some empathy with the person, you're like, I'm always so cynical, or I'm always so cautious, and I don't want to assign the things that I feel are unfairly assigned to me to this person. And I really, really, really want it to be that this magician is a good person, and I'm going to just ignore everything else because I really, really, really want this thing, because then it reflects back my like hope for the world, you know? I just think, and that part is where I'm like, you're young, because I think we all have that like, I'm gonna ignore, or that impulse to ignore, or to like lean into the goodness, lean into the positivity, but not when it comes to meeting somebody from the internet. Like,
Absolutely
I
not.
think, but okay, here's my thing. I think the cross section here that is overriding the stranger danger, because she did have it initially when she first heard a magician girl with Elsie and they were talking about it. I think what's overriding that concern, not along with the empathy, is honestly desperation, because she has no friends. And if she was not feeling isolated, and that she only had Elsie, who was not in program with her and is not a magician and cannot give her like the ins and outs of being a magician, she wouldn't be desperate enough to let the like to override the fear muscle that she's like shown in other interactions with magician girl before her because like the last time she spoke to magician girls was said before they started this arrangement to meet up, was after she had been ostracized once again by Laura and the trainee agents. So
And
I think
I think magician girl is
desperation is
counting
like
on
the
that
like it's
too.
kind of like shutting off a part of her brain
oh, definitely.
that like would make her be more wary, because like you're saying, she wants it so much because she's desperate like to get that,
To have connection. Yeah. And I totally think like, we know that. I think magician girl knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And so as readers, we were like, please don't, please, Amari, please no, please stop. But because like you said, like she is so alone and cut off. And like, this is like the thing with like how kids get radicalized, and like, you know, how like the apprentices get radicalized and stuff like that. Like we kind of talked about was like, if you make their mere existence a crime, where can they go? Right. And like, what else who does that push you towards? Right. And so it is scary, because we do like, we're seeing kind of what I assume other apprentices have probably felt like when they're constantly being, or hearing about how terrible magicians are, and then they go looking for community and someone who was going to like reassure them that they're not bad people.
The song that came to mind was "Who Can I Run To?"
Who can I run to? Sorry,
To share
I
this.
can't sing.
Okay, we're not doing it. Cool.
It's not a music podcast.
I mean,
you're welcome.
It turned into that a little bit towards the end of the last iteration, but I get it. You're right. We're reading something interesting. So so yeah, so Elsie is like, but then Elsie's like, we're assuming she even is a magician. There's probably a lot of bad guys who wouldn't mind using you for revenge, since they can't get their hands on your brother, which is another good point. Just because you say you're a magician don't mean you really about that life. So Amari's like, there's no way really for like, really she's realizing like the mystery person could be lying about anything, but she thinks she has to at least try, and she can't be that bad if she wants to meet so close to the bureau. And Elsie's like, maybe I should come with you. But Amari's like, you're the only person who knows, so if you're right and I don't come back, somebody has to let people know where I went, which again, smart. Like, it's just she's trying to like make it safe enough, knowing that this is just not a safe like situation.
But he's also
Yeah.
trying to ease Elsie's mind and like, I am
Yeah.
thinking about the danger in this. See,
Right.
here's
Right.
the plan. It's
But
like,
also,
oh,
she don't
He's
want.
also
She
trying
she
to
can't.
ease.
Her. It's like her
I think
anxiety, Elsie's anxiety. She also knows she can't bring Elsie with her, so it's just a lot of different.
Yeah. But I also think too, like she says, like, I'll be as careful as I can. Like she knows too, like what you were saying, like she doesn't have very many outlets or options. And so like we said, Amari is on a mission to figure out what's going on with her brother, to figure out, and she knows now after meeting Moreau that Moreau is involved, and being a magician is like her in. And like now we're at this intersection of meeting this person will help me in my quest to find my brother, but will also help me understand more about who I am and what's going on with magician kind. And so I understand that it's risky, but like the alternative is that I don't learn anything else or learn anything new. So I take the risk, and I'll take it in as careful a way as I can, but I'm going to take the risk. And it's very brave of her. It wouldn't be me, but I was gone day one, so you know, I'd be sitting here like ignorance, bliss, ostrich, sand. Yep.
ignorance would
Avoidance.
be your actual best friend, Paramore. That would be you.
Thank you. I'm like saluting, like people can see, like I haven't been podcasting for damn near a decade.
But you've also been podcasting visually as well, so you
This is
can't
true.
discredit that.
Yes, but yeah, I always tell people like avoidance works.
That is like
So
my
sorry to this
personality
brother.
type to a T. I'm an avoidance personality type. Like what?
You mean I could not do the thing that scares me? Let's try that. Oh, nothing will get solved, but I'm not doing the thing that scares. Okay, let's give it a go. Okay, let's see.
Just give it a whirl.
Just give it a whirl. Black Magical History Month is nearly over, but that doesn't mean the magic stops here. We have a whole year planned, jam-packed with fantastical book reviews, new podcast drops, fandom coalition work, and of course, more Amari.
And that's all thanks to our BNC baddies over on Patreon. At any tier, baddies get cool perks like monthly live streams, behind the scenes, and bonus content.
If you want to help us on our mission to advocate for and contribute to meaningful representation in media for Black folks all year round, become a baddie today at patreon.com/blacknerdscreate.
Hey there, Ryan Reynolds here. It's a new year, and you know what that means. No, not the diet. Resolutions. A way for us all to try and do a little bit better than we did last year. And my resolution, unlike big wireless, is to not be a raging and raise the price of wireless on you every chance I get. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited. See mintmobile.com for details.
The first tryout is tomorrow, so they are doing something called Supernatural Immersion, which Elsie described as supernatural entity show and tell, which does not really give Amari much to go on. But so she's the first to get to class. So she sits near the front, but then the other trainees come in and none of them want to sit next to her. So there's essentially like her sitting in the front of the class and then this whole like ring of empty seats around her. And then other kids sitting either on desks or like going so far as to sit on the floor, which I just feel like
Childish.
It's very
children,
but it's so unnecessary. Like just sit, like
Yeah.
you know, y'all have been in the same places with her all this time. Like now, all of a sudden, and like.
But I also feel like to me, it's like I am not prioritizing ostracizing someone over my own comfort, and I don't know.
I don't know.
If there's a seat,
like I'm gonna sit on the floor to make you feel bad.
Especially if I'm wearing cute clothes. Like, why would I ever? One, why would I ever sit on the floor? But two, if I'm wearing cute clothes, why would I sit on the floor over an open seat? Like, what is that?
I mean, it is though very true to life. Like,
is it?
Yes, bigots. Oh my god, white people. Like, it was one of the things I learned about, like,
yes.
Pretty Read. It occurred to me, like, right at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, oh, white people don't care if they suffer as long as people of color and Black people specifically are suffering too. That's crazy. Like, that is
crazy.
Like,
I literally, as soon as you said white people, I was like, oh, you're right. I was just thinking about myself in that moment. I was like, that is not true to life.
I would not. I would absolutely not. But like, folks generally, like, if they're committed if they're committed to being nasty, then they will take it.
I thought you were talking about it the other way, about the way that, like, white folk generally are more open into sitting on the floors. Like, they just like to sit.
Oh, no, that's not what I meant. No, that's not what I meant.
Hey, I love sitting on a floor.
I appreciate sitting on a floor sometimes, but it depends.
As I've gotten older, no.
Yeah, after I hurt my knee, not as much. Before that, though, I used to love sitting on the floor. Sometimes it just be moments where I'm like, there'd be moments where we would record and I would just sit on the floor because I didn't feel like sitting, you know what I mean, in a chair. Yeah. But now, no, it's not comfortable.
I will make people uncomfortable sometimes because I'll be like on the floor and like, do you want a chair? And I'm like, no, I'm good here. But I do know if I'm going to like a lecture in a lecture hall, like the chairs aren't even comfortable. I know the floor ain't. Yeah. That's insane. And like how many people, like at that point we're thinking how many people have walked through here, how many magical supernatural creatures have dripped, drooled,
when's the last time this floor was cleaned?
You know what I mean? How often is this cleaned? It's too many unknowns. And so a chair is going to be where I'm at unless like I literally do not have a choice. But if there is like I'm not sitting on a chair because we trying to make this girl feel bad.
No. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
So she's feeling comfortable and socially distanced. Listen, like I know that there's no COVID in this story, but
Amari's better than me because, like, at that point, I'm like, shoot, let me park my feet up on one of these chairs. Exactly. Like, I'm gonna spread out.
You know what I was thinking about was like, you know when you get on a plane and you're like, God, who am I going to sit next to? Who am I going to sit next to? And then every once in a while you'll get like the row to yourself and you're just like, oh, and you like don't even know how to act. Like, I could sit this way.
Exactly.
Put my foot up. And you end up just sitting normally most of the time.
But at first you're like, wait a second. Like, do I want to sit in the middle now? Like maybe it's the middle of the
right?
Let me just move over because I can.
Am I going to want to take a nap? Maybe I'll pull up both of those armrests and clean.
That time you drove me to the airport, I got the whole row to myself in a 3-seater back to New York from California. Ooh. And I think it was a red eye, and I was knocked out. One of the flight attendants gave me a blanket. I was laid out across all 3 of those seats, and I was just having a good old time. And then I was so knocked out that like I remember her like asking me if I wanted a blanket, saying yes, getting the blanket, and then like at one point we were like about to disembark and she was like, oh, like the blanket, and I was like, yeah, it's great. Like I don't remember what she was saying about the blanket, only to realize later that I was supposed to pay for the blanket, but I didn't. I just like that knocked out.
I'm asleep.
I got this whole row to myself. Oh no, it's over.
I love that. But Amari is 12, and so that hit her differently, and she didn't really appreciate what the universe was giving her. Having all that space.
So Dylan and Lara are the last to come in. At the sight of Amari sitting alone, Lara shoots her a smirk. They're both about to sit on the floor with the rest of the Legacy kids when Dylan stops, turns around, and comes to sit next to her.
Dylan said, "You know what? My back hurts.
It's a perfectly good seat.
I just don't. It's a good seat. Listen, Laura, I know you got beef for reasons.
No, but Lara shooting a smirk at Amari was like, because like what the kids basically showed Lara was like, even without her in the room, their fear of her and her level of like social enforcement is such a like steep hill to climb. They're not willing to even try it when she's not even in the room. So she knows she has a handle on them kids, and she's happy about it. She loves it.
And then my thing is the fact that like so this dude named Senior Agent Cozy comes in. He doesn't say anything. Like he's not like y'all tripping, sit in the dang seats. He's just like, let's move on, let's go.
Yeah, not even in a way of like everybody scoot up to the front so y'all can see well. Like not even like that. Like literally,
I feel like though my reading on Cozy was like, he's like, I'm just here.
He's filling in for Fiona for sure.
Because he comes in and is like, all right, let's, like, Fiona told me to tell you this one thing, and let's keep it moving. Let's keep it pushing. So I don't know. Like, sometimes I wonder about that. Like, I like to think that I would be the kind of adult that would, like, call out that stuff.
I would at least say something like,
but
y'all
the
not
way
gonna
I
sit in
don't be
these
paying
chairs.
attention to your children,
Mm-hmm.
like, I just need y'all to know this, because I just watched a child for 2 days, and love her to death. Really, you know, hope that she is safe, healthy, happy her whole all of her days. Feel that way about the majority of the children in my life. Do it? Yeah, I feel that way about the majority of the children in my life. And yet, and still, twice I lost this girl. She is 1 year old. I looked, said,
In the house, I
damn,
hope.
where'd you go? And I just started screaming, and then she popped her, because she would go outside. I didn't say she could go outside. We had a whole talk about it. She's like, Luna went outside. I said, there's a pool out there. You don't go out there unless I'm out there.
Oh
She's like,
Is
But
your
I
name
guess
Luna?
that's true.
No,
If
your
it's in
name is
the-
not Luna.
so basically, point of story. I don't think Agent Cozy even noticed. I don't think he was clocking that there was a dearth of seats around Amari, and that was done for a reason. I think he was just like, I got lunch after this, so let it. Again, this is not a school. It is a summer camp.
It's not.
Out of work. It's a work placement.
It's a work. Yeah, it is. You're right. So, okay, there will, so one thing before they start, he, passed on a message that there will be a sleep-in, in the training rooms tonight, with the goal of fostering camaraderie in the midst of competition, which
that.
sounds like a terrible, like, I mean, okay. It sounds like it could be fun. So, like, I remember, we did a sleepover at our school when I was in, like, 7th grade, and that was fun. For Amari, that sounds horrible, because clearly, as you can see, ain't nobody trying to hang out with her. So, like, it actually sounds like not fun at all in this context.
And because it's Agent Fiona, like, who's organizing it, it sounds like something that she specifically thought would be helpful to Amari. And it's like, I don't think this is going to go the way you want it to go.
This is not going to go.
And two, it also punctuates how badly Cozy is in, like, doing facilitation for this group, because he has this direct note from Fiona about fostering camaraderie. And then it's very clear to see that there's a lack of camaraderie, specifically around this one person. And if he just put the two together as a thought, perhaps.
But he got lunch plans, okay?
So but my thing is that, like, although it is a work placement, like, do you not, like, if fostering camaraderie is a component of the training, not only because of how Fiona's seen the dynamics play out currently, but also because, like, you want camaraderie across your department once you're actually, like, having the job to an extent. So it's like, it should be on his mind somewhat. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think that y'all, like, are overestimating
9 to 5, clock in, clock out. I get it.
A guy named
how much Cozy
or
cares.
just a guy named Cozy. He's like,
he's perpetually cozy no matter what happens. So
he's comfortable in his skin.
He is comfortable in his skin.
He don't care about nobody else.
Cozy with who he is. He loves himself. Goddamn.
Yeah.
That's the rest of it is y'all problem. That's a you problem.
Yeah, that's true. So we're starting Supernatural Immersion, which is used to get the trainees used to being around, like, other supernatural entities. So Cozy explains that their first guest got spooked and canceled after the most recent attack on the Bureau, but Cozy called in a favor, and he's like, do I have a treat for you? So he dims the lights, shouts and shrieks go up as a pitch black puddle slinks across the floor into the center of the room. Amari jumps in her seat as it passes in front of her desk. Billy Pogo goes red and points a shaking finger. I know what that is. It's a boogeyman. Had one under my bed for years. So the shadowy shape of a woman emerges from the puddle, her glowing white eyes searching the room.
Boogie
I'm out.
person. That is a deep cut from Don't Look Under the Bed decom from the early thousands.
Mm-hmm. Deep cut, because I don't know. I do love though the like. Never mind. Keep going. I don't want to.
Oh, okay. So Cozy is like, isn't she grand? Well, class, here's your chance. Immerse yourself in this experience. Have a listen to her story. Which, like, anytime somebody says immerse yourself, I just feel like it takes you out, but might just be me. So the boogie person tells or talks about her kind. They reside in deep, dark shadows of sketchy places. They are allowed to scare and harass people if they wander someplace generally acknowledged to be spooky. So graveyards, abandoned mansions, dark caves, under beds. As long as the area has a permission to terrorize zoning permit from the Department of Supernatural Licenses and Records, which I think is like,
I want to be that person a bit. Part of me just really wants to see the protocol and process behind how do you get a permit to terrorize?
Yeah. How do you decide like where is acceptable? I mean, I kind of get it in some places. In on the one hand, like the examples, like places that are generally acknowledged to be spooky, like but like I wonder if there's like a line somewhere, or if there's like a moment where it's like, I don't know, like it could go either way. You know what I mean? Like it's just is very interesting.
Like if it's a historically preserved place, however, it has a decent amount of like visitors. So it's like it's kind of a public historical place. However, maybe your family was the family that originally owned the place. So you're like, hey, I have like eminent domain on my side. So I should be able to be the person who haunts the place or whatever. I don't know. It just sounds like a fun process to like walk through and see what's happening on the other side. Yeah. And who gets to put the stamp on it? Like, it would be fun to be the person like, I'm giving them permission. So
I feel like, I don't know. I think that I've been thinking, I'm thinking of it as what, like you said, what makes something generally spooky? But like, I've always really liked like dark closed spaces. Like I would I love to read in my closet. I love to like cozy down and like small spaces. Does that make sense? But I think of those places generally as like cozy. Like I would make like forts and stuff, and it would be dark. The walls would be closed in. You know, it's like a cocoon, I guess. But what if my definition of like this is a really good cocoon spot, a good like I just want to be alone and feel like hugged. Portia's in the Department of Licenses and being like spooky, free reign. Cause like, where am I supposed to go? Do you know what I mean? Do you guys know what I mean with the like?
I feel like
you put on, you know, like the Oodies. You put on the Oodie, and you're like,
well, Oodies aren't generally spooky.
Well, okay, but like what I'm saying is like, but you know that feeling that you get, or like with like weighted blankets. I don't know if this is just my like neurodivergent self, but it's like that, but like in a bigger space. You know what
I get what you're saying.
You
understand what you're looking for because you've discussed it multiple times. But what I'm saying is, I don't know from how it's described. It kind of sounds like Monsters Inc. in the closets. Like every kid that's assigned like not every kid is assigned a monster in the closet. However, there are kids who are chosen who do get monsters in the closet. So you're not guaranteed to have your cozy space invaded because you may not be assigned a monster.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm no longer a child, and we go to find out that like.
But if you were a child,
I'm just saying, like we find out later that like children are more apt to these spooky things because they have the imagination for it. But if this was real life and I was a child, I would appreciate it if you would not zone my spaces.
But again, we don't know what the protocols are, so I feel like there's probably a provision or so for those sort of things.
For neurodivergent kids who like to nest.
Or like generally like the parameters of like which spaces are considered like prime places and like what special circumstances you have to go into to like go into the private spaces or something.
Okay. Like graveyard, sure. Yes. We've all seen Buffy. But my closet? Under my bed?
I mean,
what about if I'm just trying to play hide and seek?
No, I feel like it's also just at night, you know? Personally speaking, as somebody who does not go to bed with their closet door open. During the day, my closet door is open right now. Like, who cares? But at night, shit gotta be shut. So okay. Oh, so it makes Amari wonder if that's the reason why Quentin warned her about taking a shortcut through the creepy junkyard that's down the street from their apartment.
Yes.
Which, yeah, most likely.
Definitely.
Among other reasons, but like, yeah. So Billy Pogo asks the boogie person if she's related to basically the one that he was being terrorized by, and it turns out they're cousins.
Here's my thing about Billy Pogo in his haunting by the boogie person, because they say that there's allowed to scare and harass people, unsuspecting people, if they wander somewhere generally acknowledged to be spooky, and like they typically reside, her kind specifically reside in the deep, dark corners of sketchy places. So Billy Pogo's under his bed must be particularly sketchy. Like, that boy has not cleaned under there for decades for him to be having like a regular inhabitant under his bed.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to victim blame, but it sounds like the boy needs to clean under his bed is what I'm hearing.
I also just want to like note again how much Amari and I are not the same, because she literally described this place as the creepy junkyard and wanted to know why Quentin said don't like take a shortcut through the place called the creepy junkyard. Like
at night.
The question, the answer is in the question. What do you mean?
And I know I'm not like I am scared of the many things. I am not the bravest. However, because I am a person of like, if it's gonna get me somewhere quicker, I don't think about it too hard. I'm gonna just rush through real quick and get where I need to go. However, I am clumsy enough that I would never want to walk through a junkyard at night, because there's no telling what I'm gonna get caught on and fall and hurt myself on, because I am a mess. And I would
I'm
never
already late, so you know.
Like, I'm not running the risk of tetanus because I'm trying to cut a shortcut. Like, it's fine. I'm gonna just go where the sidewalk is. It's fine.
Yeah. Not the same. We live in different lives. Also, Billy Pogo, have some decorum. Why are you just like
clean under your bed, Billy Pogo?
Not just clean under your bed, but like it just feels like it turns out that they're cousins, and that's great. But didn't this not just have like oh, you're black and you're from this place. Do you know this other person? Who's also black from this place?
Yeah.
But he also gave his whole full address, and I'm like that's what I thought you were talking about his decorum. Like none of these kids are trying to do stranger danger at all. Like, what is going on? I can't.
But
yeah. So
like,
we find out
it worked out for you that they're cousins, but that could have been,
really, yeah, it could have gone a different way.
It could have gone a different way.
We find out that boogie people do this just in general because they eat fear, which, good for them, I guess. Apparently, it might taste like chicken, but she doesn't know that to be sure because she's never had chicken before.
Is it chicken because the kids are chicken? Like, it's because they're being chickens, they're scared?
No, I thought of it just as like the black joke of like everything tastes like chicken.
Yeah, I think it was like a double entendre, like it tastes like chicken, but also like you're a chicken. You're a chicken. Moment.
That's funny.
I love that. I was also thinking too, though, like this was giving. I think it's supposed to just give everyone Monsters Inc. kind of vibes because that's what it is. But like, I was thinking about how like they eat fear is actually a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
Of if you think about like getting rid of something, right? Like I see this scary thing and I'm scared, and then they eat my fear, and then I'm no longer scared. But that's really not how it goes.
No, I think it just I think because they stay, so you're just more
Yeah.
scared, and they
Like the more
It's a
potent
feast.
your fear
It's a
is,
feast.
the better it is for them. So like they would
Yeah.
rather stay around a potent, imaginative, fearing person than like just take it. It's not taking it away. It's just like dialing it up to get the
Yeah.
best level of.
But I
fear.
was just thinking about, because like the spoiler alert for a movie that came out 20 some years ago, but they find out in Monsters Inc. like, oh, it's actually like in Monsters Inc. I guess fear doesn't. They don't eat it, but it helps power. It's like their source of energy. And like, oh, laughter is actually even better, and like joy. So they go green as you would.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, have you ever tried to eat joy, Miss Boogie person?
Maybe it tastes different. Maybe both.
Like,
Just like diversify.
you know what I mean?
Diversify
Maybe
your
it tastes
palate.
like lamb. Maybe it tastes like salmon. Salmon it's a good fatty acid. You know what I mean? Good fat.
I also want to say that when I hear the monsters are eating fears, I hear the Nicki Minaj verse from Monster. And it's like, first thing first, I'll eat your brains. Like, it's like, that's what I'm getting from eating the fears.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I have the freaks come out at night. It's stuck in my head because Bayana said they come out at night.
Lots of playlists happening in this episode. So we find out that they mostly go for children because adults don't fear us like they used to. If they hear something under the bed, they're grabbing a flashlight to have a look. Not me. But children are far more likely to let their imaginations run out. Literally, if I hear a thump, I'm like leaving. I'm like, I don't need to know what's happening. I'm out.
Intellectual curiosity has been the worst thing that's ever happened.
Something's under my bed? Okay, that's your bed now. Like,
I feel like it's like the Black reaction video that was going around like a couple of years ago, but it's still relevant. Especially on TikTok, was like white people hear a noise and they just like look around and they wait and see if there's another noise.
I might occasionally be like, not today. You know what I mean? Like if you're like, all right, ghosty, like I hear you, but stay over there. Leave me alone. Like but that's it.
I've been in my fridge for a long time, and we just have to learn how to coexist.
Yeah, sometimes it's like
the rent is too high.
Yeah,
so you just don't have to chill.
Leave as long as it's benign, and you're just like, all right. Cool, good for you.
Sometimes you just be too tired and you'd be like, look.
I just told him, I said, listen here, ghost in the fridge. I want to let you have it, but it took me so long to find this place. It's rent controlled. I'm in Oakland. Like we gonna have to coexist.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave you to you. I'm gonna order DoorDash tonight. You know? It'd be like gurgle, 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 and I'd be like, all right, Uber Eats. Let's do this.
But also, it's like one of us is paying rent for here, and the other one is not. So we gotta figure this out. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's, I would gladly pay rent somewhere else, but where?
Yeah.
You know? Exactly. And is it rent controlled? Or is it dog friendly? We just gonna have to work it out.
Yeah.
Coexist,
either that or you got it, and I'm out. Like, but I'm not
how bad it is.
But I'm not like actively going to look to see what's going on.
We're not
investigating.
I don't need to
know. I don't need to know. It's not that deep. I'll have my conversation with you from the other room. I'm gonna be like, you good?
Right.
You good?
It's never that serious. It's never serious enough to investigate. It's never. It's for never. What?
No.
I'm glad we're all on the same page here.
So then Lara has a question that's actually more of a statement, which is just like, please go away. So she's like, says here that boogie people date back to the war with the Night Brothers. And the boogie person's like, we don't really talk about those days. It was dark times and such. But Lara keeps reading. It's believed the boogie people were created by the Night Brothers and sent into camps of enemy armies to terrify them in the night, which resulted in the armies being drowsy and sluggish on the battlefield. And she's like, such a scandalous beginning for your kind. Agent Cozy is like, chill, this is our guest. Like, this is not relevant. But then Lara, of course, then takes that opportunity to, single out Amari again. It's like, there's a
Why are
magician
you
right
so
here.
obsessed with me?
Literally.
I
Yes.
want to know.
And she's like, don't you recognize one of your masters? And so then the boogie person sniffs the air, looks at Amari, drops to her knees, and says, apologies, my lady, I didn't recognize you. Which I'm just like, this is a child. Like, why are we doing this? And Amari's like, you don't have to bow. Please stand up. The boogie person is terrified at this point, is like, us boogie folk know what you magicians are planning. We don't want any part in it. Please don't force us. I'm begging you. Amari's
She is like,
I'm
ma'am,
not.
this is a Wendy's.
But then she
I'm
goes,
12.
do you mean Moreau? Because like she don't know how to just like sometimes she just needs
Keep
her
that curiosity
Mhm.
that button on her brain to keep the curiosity part from just coming out.
if she don't have it, it's
She
malfunctioning.
don't
Don't
have
have
it.
it.
And then the boogie person's like, please just leave us be. The lights flicker, and then she fades into the shadows. Which of course makes Amari like terrified. And also just like sick. Like, is this what people think of us? And so the rest of the tradies just stare at her, and Lara succeeded in
Mission accomplished by Lara,
Mhm.
being
Yeah.
the worst person ever.
Yeah.
I
Anyway.
do want to point out, though, that Laura was being terrible and also yet politically correct. She was like, as boogie people, let me
Like,
respect your pronouns
right.
while I also
bully.
But no, it's also very on brand for Lara to be like ready to come up with like a hierarchical reason to like put someone down. Because again, if Lara had the ability to be like, people gonna bow down in front of me because who I am, she would do it. And that's what basically what the
for
kids were
sure.
doing by not sitting beside Amari this whole time.
Mhm.
So she's using what she knows is Amari's innate need to not be seen against her, whereas she would revel. I mean, like, I don't even know these grown magical beings and they're afraid of me and I cherish it. Like, she's using that against Amari, that she does not like being a center of attention. And the more
Yeah.
that Amari shows that, the more power Lara has over Amari.
Yeah. I don't like this girl.
No.
Nope.
But speaking of girls that we do like, Elsie is like, you gonna have to let me take the elevator with you to this meeting. Like, I'm not gonna go all the way there with you, but I at least need to accompany you, which again, friendship. Also, with her help, Amari knows to take the elevator known as Mischief, that is known for pranking kids with out of order signs and self-destruct countdowns, and has a willingness to assist in any type of general rule breaking. So as they're going up through the bureau, Mischief is like, I'm helping a real life magician escape. It's my crowning achievement. So
Relax.
it's having a great time.
No stealth. That, like, Mischief is like Amari with no stealth. Like,
but I guess I
just
assume you can't hear them when, like, you can only hear the elevators talking when like the doors are open. If that
but
makes
like
sense. Like, if you're
it's
inside.
ready to share with other people that
Well,
like
no, only they're in there. Like, it's they're. I mean, I don't know. I can't tell if like Mischief is, because it says they're willing to assist in rule breaking. So then I assume that means that they're not going to snitch. But I don't know. But
I don't
I get the
believe
sense
that.
from Mischief
maybe
that
not.
like they're gonna
Yeah.
assist and then they're gonna
Say
continue
something
the
later.
mischief
Yeah.
by getting you in trouble.
Yeah,
But also,
maybe.
this is the elevator's crowning achievement. Why would they not brag about
That's true.
assisting a magician?
That's true.
Yeah, they could like not get you in trouble, but like then brag to the next rule breaker, like,
Right.
oh,
like,
you're doing
don't
this.
you
Well,
know?
one time I helped
Kind of like Lord
magician.
Lord Lift. Do you know
Mhm.
who I am? Do you know who I've carried in this shaft or whatever? It sounded really bad,
Not
but
shaft.
y'all know what I mean.
The shaft is
well, through like up this, it doesn't matter. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna move on.
Okay.
Anyway.
She said enough.
So Amari tells Elsie that if she doesn't come back, she has permission to add her Moonstone badge to her Vanquish collection. But Elsie is like, you can joke, but I can literally see how worried you are, so chill. So they now are in Vanderbilt Hotel. The elevator opens into an empty hotel room because, again, like, the bureau is secret, so it's not just gonna open up in the regular like elevator area.
Shaft.
Okay, but
No.
also
Elevator,
the elevator
bank.
says
Yeah,
as
like
Amari comes out,
elevator bank.
Yes.
magician on the loose.
Yes.
Just shouting it.
Because I don't know. He's
This
very
is the thing
excited.
that I don't know about that I was worried about is like they're in the Vanderbilt Hotel now. They're not in the like bureau part of because the bureau is underneath the hotel. Is like, do normal people, can they hear the elevator?
I assume this room is never used.
Yeah.
Because
like I feel like I couldn't tell if it was like a joke that like the elevator was trying to like Mischief was like
Messing with him.
you know when it's like someone's like,
sounded
hey,
like-
can I tell you a secret? And you're like, you want to tell me a secret? And but you know
Right.
you're just like joking with them.
Yeah. It definitely felt like they were just excited and not necessarily
Yeah.
trying to snitch in this situation. Again, not to say that it wouldn't snitch later.
Well, no.
But also, like,
So-
I'm not saying that it's like maybe it's not being maliciously snitching, but because of his excitement, it just can't help itself.
Yeah.
Mm.
So then Elsie leaves back with Mischief, and Amari goes over to room 307. She knocks, but then it's the door behind her that clicks open. She turns around, she sees a tall, pink-haired girl leaning into the hallway. Tattoos cover her arms. And she says, hurry before anyone sees. So she follows the girl into room 308, which honestly is kind of smart if you're trying to be stealthy. And so the girl is like, you came alone, right? And nobody followed you? Mari's like, yeah, we're good. And then the pink-haired girl says, good. She drops a do not disturb sign on the doorknob, shuts the door, and then she says, I'm going to show you something, but you have to promise not to freak out, okay? And Amari's like,
which is like the right way to make me freak out.
Amari's like, you could just tell me what you're about to do. But the girl says, it's better if I just show you. Slowly, the girl raises her right hand. As it passes in front of her face, she whispers something that sounds like misspell. Her face begins to blur as though somebody went at it with a giant eraser, which is terrifying. Of all the like,
Now,
what was that one episode? It's like Doctor Who. I don't really love that episode that much, but like that one with the face with TVs and they're eating the faces.
oh, that like
Shit's
eat
creepy.
them.
Huh? Yeah, it
The
like
one
eats
was
their
in
face.
10 with the
Yeah. Yep.
10
10 rows. Yep.
Yeah,
I don't think it was the
Yeah.
Olympics. I don't remember. Doesn't
yeah,
matter.
it was.
Maybe it was. There were 2 Olympics
Everyone got
episodes.
the or no, it wasn't. It was the Jubilee.
It was the Jubilee.
Or
Mm-hmm. Anyway,
mm-hmm.
kind of reminds me of that. Anytime somebody doesn't have a face, it's really not
It's
not
on.
a good time. So the blurry-faced girl tilts her head and lets out the creepiest laugh. It sounds like multiple people are laughing at once. And I'm just like,
Mount.
why? So is Amari. She turns and dashes for the door. But then the girl says, wait. Amari knows that voice. She turns and feels her jaw drop open. And that's where we end. Why the laugh?
This
really
is one of those.
like, what is the reason for the laugh?
The laugh gave witch cackle.
It did. And I'm just like, but if you're trying to like meet somebody and you like presumably want to talk to them while you have no face, let's not do that, you know?
Yeah. This is one of those things too where I'm like, I think it's also because of the way in my book, this page ends on the left side, so you can see the next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where I'd be like, don't BS me with this cliffhanger nonsense, because you know
it's a good cliffhanger. It's
a great
like the printing of
cliffhanger.
the book, but also it's like the book printing, but also like if we were reading this regularly, we'd just keep going.
Exactly, that's what I'm
we've
saying.
Talked about that. The pacing of this book is like outstanding for just getting through the book. Like it really does lend itself to like if you're gonna pick up this book, you're gonna read this book. Like you're just gonna keep
you're
turning
not
the
gonna
pages.
you're not gonna stop and like.
And I just was like, we do this in batches or whatever, but like I literally hit that last sentence and I looked over to the next page and I said, you tried it. But I'm gonna find out. I don't care if Amari's jaw is dropping. Who is it? Who it is? So
all right, cool. So real quick before we get into MVP and bench, what we want to know from y'all, it'll be the question for this week and next week. Who is would you go meet Magician Girl? Like, if it was you in this situation, would you go meet her, and why or why not? I think all of us have said no, but
can I tell you?
Feel free to tell us if like your current self, probably an adult, versus your Amari age 12-year-old self,
right? Because that could be different answers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can I tell you that, like, I would like to believe that 12-year-old Robyn would not go. And I genuinely do believe that she wouldn't. But I think I would have done, like, an Elsie. So I did this at a big age, where, like, someone invited me to a party. I said yes. I really wanted to go. And I literally got to the door, rang the doorbell. She said, okay, I'm coming down. And in between that and her coming down to open the door, my anxiety got so high that I left. And I texted her. I was like, sorry, I couldn't. I left. I'm sorry. And she's like, I'm outside. No, had to go. And so I feel like 12-year-old Robyn would have, like, been giving myself a pep talk, and I'd have got up on the elevator, and I'd have got right to where Mischief is like, Magician on the loose. And I'd be like, you know what? Nope. You're right. This is, turn around, take me back. Adult Robyn it's definitely a no for me, dog. My curiosity would have to kill me.
But I think Magician Girl would just have to try a different tactic and been like, you're gonna have to come meet me. How about that? Like, how about you just
or like I would try to find and be friends with someone like an Elsie or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Magician Girl would just open the door like, I told you not to bring anyone, and it was that, or I wasn't coming. Like, I just needed someone to hold my hand. So I feel like for me it either way, I would have needed help. I couldn't do it on my own.
Yeah.
I am someone who is easily if I find one person that I get along with, I don't tend to care too much. If there's a lot of other people who are also like with me, although I could see it bothering me that no one in my department would be effing with me. So I feel like generally I probably would have never messaged Magician Girl back, because one, I probably would have thought it was spam, or two, I would just be like, no, I'm good.
We wouldn't have got to this point.
And that's what's really funny is that, like, because I do feel like for you in particular, Porshèa, like, I feel like all of the things would have to align perfectly. But if you really needed to find your brother, and you were in a research, like, dead end, and they messaged you correctly, not the way that this Magician Girl messaged, but if they messaged you with the right pitch, not like, I can tell you more about Moreau and what all that, but like, I have information and I'm telling you, like, or I'm reaching out to you under an alias because I do not want to be found out. You know what I mean? Like because of the Bureau and all of these things, like, this is why this is obviously an alias, and I would like to talk to you face to face to ensure, like, I feel like if they come at you correctly, your research brain would have you there.
Yeah, they probably had to, like, pose a question, like, have you wondered why they haven't told you? And like, yes, but like that probably had to get me to respond to them. Like, you'd have to get me to respond to you first, and that would be the way to making me respond to you. Because initially, like, nothing that they've said would have been like, I'm like, that initial thing, I'm like, ew, who's messaging me? What is this?
Literally.
Like,
yeah. But if they come at you correctly, and then it's definitely like, we need to meet face to face in some, like, whistleblower, I have information, but like, it needs to happen this way because of, like, backlash protection, like a thing that makes sense to you in your world of, like, they're about to blow some, I'm about to get, like, the Pentagon Papers type stuff. I feel like you would go. It's a very specific criteria.
Right.
But
It'd be very funny because I feel like if you were on the opposite side, if you were Magician Girl in this situation, you'd be like, we could just do a book drop. Like, we just do a dead.
I would do it. Shoot. You know what though? I could see you also being like, let's just do a dead drop.
I wouldn't think about a dead drop. It's like I've seen them, but it wouldn't be my first, like, inclination.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying Magician Girl obviously would be lying to, like, they'd have to figure out the way to come at you to get you to do it. But I think that there is a way to, like, entice you to meet up with them. I would like to think that I would have been like, let's do a dead drop. Because I just want to do one. I feel like I will have made it when I do a dead drop.
I just need that to happen for you before, you know. I just need that to happen for you for like that just need to be a special occasion. The dead drop will be the special occasion in itself. And I just need that to happen.
You know what we should do for my birthday?
I was just thinking that, but
you guys should all just like, we should all plan a way for like dead drops to happen, and I could just spend the day.
We can, that's what I'm saying. You can't be able to expect it for something special for like an occasion. For it has to be something that like you just do not expect. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no reason for it to happen.
Next time we see each other, can we meet in like a park?
Sure. It'll be for my birthday.
You have a newspaper open in front of you on a bench.
at a bench at the park. And you'll be sitting there and I'll be sitting there, and then you just pass me a piece of paper and then I'll be...
Sure. Okay, MVP. Who's your MVP? I said Elsie.
I think we all said Elsie. No.
We all said Elsie.
Yeah.
I think there's just something so special about, like, this chapter. Elsie is the embodiment of ride or die, but ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, let's think this through. Let's research, mama.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Miss
Mama. That Magician Girl be giving me heebie-jeebies.
Stop.
You know? I appreciate it. She looking out. She's like, there has to be another way. And if there's not, let's like, you know, let's do everything that we can do to minimize your risk.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Who's benched? I said Lara because I just need her to mind her own business and leave Amari alone.
I also said Lara because she's literally the worst.
Truly.
And she just reflects it so much throughout this chapter. I've named it every time I've seen it, so you hear my reasons. But the way that she revels in Amari's specific misery is just like masochistic and like just like get a life. You have so much and you really want to take something from someone else just to make a point. Like, that is just miserable.
I agree. I also said Laura, but I had an added bonus of Billy Pogo just because, like, I don't like the way he came at Clarence. Like, he was just blowing up his spot like that, and I don't like how, like, I understand, like, you know, you felt I feel like he was triggered or something, but it just felt very much like he could have been better in that moment. It didn't need to be so. Do you know? You know what I mean? Like
the Muffin Man.
Yeah, the Muffin Man. You know, Clarence just living his life. Obviously, you're good. You suffered no like long lasting. I mean, maybe you got some trauma that you need to work out.
When you say he was triggered, I'm wondering now if he's been like gaslit by his parents. That Clarence doesn't exist, and that Clarence is just like silent during the times his parents are trying to like investigate, and so he's just like, I need confirmation that like there is a real existing boogeyman in my room.
Yeah. And I also just don't like the idea of like, here we are in Atlanta and you talking about, do you know this boogeyman in North Carolina with,
facts.
Boogie person. So I just, you know, special shout out to Billy Pogo on that. It's small, it's minor, it's small, but it just didn't sit well with me.
It's his lack of couth. Both Lara and Billy have lack of couth.
Get some couth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you all for listening. Join us next week when we discuss Chapter 18 and possibly more uncouth things.
Wizard Team is brought to you by Black Nerds Create. If you want to keep up with our other content, you can check us out on our website at blacknerdscreate.com. Follow us on Twitter at BLKNerdsCreate, at Yana, YANA, wrote it, at Robyn_rambles, and at Por, POR, she, SHE, UH. Porshèa. Follow us on Instagram and Tumblr at Black Nerds Create. Subscribe to our monthly magic newsletter, and don't forget to rate and review. See you next week. Or hear you next week. You already stopped it.
Bye.